The following is a Shaw TV Public Affairs presentation. Constituency Report is produced as a public service by members of the BC Legislature through the facilities of Shaw TV.
Hello and welcome to Constituency Report. I'm your host, Doug Secord, and today I have the MLA for Parksville-Qualicum, Michelle Stilwell. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Doug. Thanks for having me here today.
Great. We have a whole pile of stuff to talk about today, and I thought we'd start with the budget. So I'm sure the viewers want to know what's in the budget and how they're going to benefit.
Well, certainly I think there's great benefit for people all around the province. In particular, Parksville-Qualicum will see benefit with the 50% decrease in MSP premiums that many of the seniors who live in Parksville-Qualicum, some of the younger families and the demographics in Parksville-Qualicum will be able to see that money come back into their pockets. For individuals who are earning up to $130,000, they'll see about a $900 benefit where the MSP premiums will not be paid starting next year, January 2018.
That's exciting. I mean, that's a big break. I know the government had considered sort of dropping the sales tax by a little bit, but this is a real benefit to people because it's cash back in their pockets, right?
Well, I certainly think there were discussions all over the place about what we could do, what we should do, and how we should do it. The incredible thing for our government is the fact that we've been able to be so fiscally prudent throughout the years to put ourselves in a position where we are actually on track to not only decreasing and eliminating the operating debt, but also being able to make these investments for people of British Columbia. We've heard loud and clear that people would love to see the MSP completely eliminated, and this is our first step to getting there. And as we continue to grow the economy and create more jobs in our province, we're seeing an influx of people coming from other provinces, Alberta especially, to take advantage of the growing economy we have here in British Columbia, to take advantage of those job opportunities as we continue to invest in hospitals, roads, bridges, tunnels, sightsee. There's so many opportunities here in BC, and people are coming here to take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. And this is the fifth balanced budget in a row, is that right?
Fifth balanced budget in a row, and certainly the envy of other provinces across the country. You know, if we look to areas like Ontario or Quebec, and we had their credit rating that they have here in BC, we have the benefit of our AAA credit rating, which allows us to save so much on debt servicing. If we were Ontario or Quebec, we would be paying $2 billion in interest as services that wouldn't be going to programs and services. But here we find ourselves in British Columbia having that opportunity to save that money and to ensure that we are making investments for the people who live here. I know from social development, social innovation, my ministry that I am responsible for and have been and had the privilege to do that for the last 2 years, we've seen for the second year in a row increases to my overall budget. So I'm nearing $3 billion, third highest budget in all of government, next to healthcare and education. So we certainly know that the money is there being invested in those people who need it the most. That is the goal and the sole purpose of my ministry, to ensure that we are caring for the people who are the most vulnerable, who need those additional supports, whether that's through income assistance or PWD, disability assistance, as well as 84 Employment BC offices throughout our province, to ensure that we're providing those supports for people to get the training, the skills, the resume writing, the preparation for interviews, to help them get into the job market so that they can create a better life for themselves and for their families.
Now, your ministry is social development and social innovation, right?
Correct.
And one of the more exciting programs is the Single Parent Employment Initiative. Is that correct?
The Single Parent Employment Initiative is something that I am certainly so proud of, and I think our government as a whole, all the MLAs and ministers speak at great length about the success that we're seeing. When we started that program, we thought maybe 200 or 300 individuals would take us up on the offer to go to school, which we pay for, We will pay for your education for up to 1 year in an in-demand training program. We'll cover your daycare expenses. We'll cover your books. We'll provide the transportation if you need it to get to school so that you can get that education while you remain on income assistance. No other province anywhere in Canada has a program like this. Typically, when you're receiving income supports from a province, the option is stay on income assistance, or if you want to go to school, sure, go to school, but we will take your income assistance away the day that you decide to go into some kind of educational program, which really leaves people in a struggle, because how are you going to put a roof over your head? How are you going to feed yourself or your children? Many single parents in the province, of course, are relying on those supports. So, you know, it's only 18 months in, and we have 4,450 individuals who are in the program at various levels of their training, their assessments, figuring out what courses they're going to take, and are already in their education program waiting to graduate. But more importantly, we have over 860 individuals who have now left income assistance for employment. And now that they're in that first year of employment, they've left the program, they still have medical support services through my ministry. So they're still being sort of taken care of in some ways while they continue to get that step up and get lifted up off the ground and into, you know, something that's so empowering for them and their families. And we're breaking that cycle for their children who are now watching their mothers and fathers go to work, earn an income, and come home each and every day to take care of them.
Do you think that other provincial governments in Canada are looking at this program because of its success?
Well, I know certainly through the meetings that we've had across Canada with our counterparts, they look to us sort of in awe in what we are able to do here, and how are you managing that, and how are you capable of having these programs, even when we look at poverty and how we have been able to, faster than any province, decrease the number of children in poverty. 79,000 fewer children in poverty in the last few years, and that's significant. No other province is able to match our rate of decrease, and I think that's another thing for our government to be so proud of. More work to be done, certainly. More investments to be made, and I think then again we look at this budget and we see more investments being made for the Ministry of Children and Family Development, so that they can ensure that mental health and children and youth in care are receiving the supports that they need. They're increasing their staff on the ground at the front lines, just trying to build the support system around those individuals who need it the most.
Right, yeah. Was there any other increases in your ministry as a result of the budget?
Yeah, so we also saw an increase for Community Living BC, which is our Crown corporation that deals with approximately 19,000 individuals with developmental disabilities. So those supports will also see to manage the caseload, to provide more services to the clients and their families who rely on it. We also saw an increase for just overall caseload management, as we are seeing a slight increase to the pressures for income assistance in PWD. When we look at, you know, the mid-1990s, we had approximately 195,000 people on income assistance. And today we've decreased that number to about 69,000. And that's significant to know that over that time period we have found people opportunities to get into the workforce, to get the supports they need. But we've also seen that back in the same comparison, about 20,000, 22,000 people were on disability assistance back in the mid-90s. And today we have 107,000 individuals who receive disability supports through the province. We for the second year, were able to provide an increase to their rates. We had $50 rate increase, $25 rate increase last year, as well as a $52 transportation allowance. And this year we raised the rates again by $50 for people with disabilities, and trying to provide those additional supports.
Wow. So let's just move quickly to affordable housing. And we have the BC Homeowners Grant. That's going to help young people that are going to start out for the first time and achieve the dream of home ownership. Is that correct?
Certainly, and I think when we look at home ownership, it is that step to independence, that is the the biggest purchase people will make for the first time in their lives and throughout their lives, and allowing those individuals to get into the market for home ownership will also free up some rental spaces. We know that the rental market is a struggle for many cities around the province, and there's just a very low vacancy rate, and we also are seeing about $920 million of investment for affordable housing through the Ministry of Housing, which is 5,200 units to be built around the province to ensure that people with disabilities, people who are facing barriers, seniors in our communities who have additional supports to stay in rent and get into the rental market and open up the rental market through the home program. So I think I can't remember the exact number now that the housing minister had just announced, but over 100 people now have been confirmed with the home ownership program, and that's only after a month of having announced it. So it's going to be significant and hopefully really benefit many people in the province.
So a little bit closer to home on Vancouver Island, how is Vancouver Island going to benefit from the budget?
Well, just before the budget was announced, I had the honor of announcing $10 million for the Island Coastal Economic Trust. And I think that was significant as, the island is sometimes seen as its own region with its own difficulties when it comes to growing the economy and taking part in everything that's going on. And the Island Coastal Economic Trust has really been that stable foundation for several years to help grow and develop opportunities on the island in all regions, all the way from Victoria all the way up to Powell River and Port Hardy. So it was a great honor for me to provide them that. We'll also see much of the healthcare budget. We're seeing $4.2 billion over the next 3 years going into healthcare. We know that healthcare is the largest portion of the provincial budget, and investments are being made all the time. On Vancouver Island, we're seeing 2 hospitals coming to fruition in Campbell River and Comox Courtney. So those investments will help many people in the regions, and we'll see wait lists for MRIs and hip and knee replacements and all those other things that so many people have come to rely on benefit them.
Right. I think a little closer to home, and we have a photograph of this, is the Trillium Lodge, I believe. What's going on with Trillium?
Well, Trillium is a seniors lodge just down the street from my house, actually. But just after being elected, we put some money into helping them develop hospice in the community. So previously, people from Parksville, Qualicum would go to the Nanaimo Regional General Hospital to the palliative care beds that are at the hospital. And for many of my constituents who are aging, who have lost their licenses and maybe don't drive anymore or can't drive at night, and it made it very difficult for them to be with their loved one at a time of end of life when it's so critical for family to be there and to support each other. And we were able to bring 5 hospice beds into Trillium Lodge. We helped with the funding to provide the renovations there, and families, I hear from them all the time how special it is for them and how wonderful it has been for that addition to come to the community. And we were just able to provide another $60,000 to help ensure that we have what we need at the palliative care spaces, hospice spaces.
Right. So you mentioned the new hospitals in Campbell River and in Courtney, or Comox. Right?
Comox, Courtney.
Comox, right. But also in Parksville, you have the Oceanside Health Center. Could you just fill us in about
Sure. The Oceanside Healthcare Center is something I think many of the community members are still trying to grasp, and I think they're finally figuring out what an urgent care center means for them. When I was first elected 4 years ago, it was just days after where I had the official opening for the Oceanside Healthcare Center, and it has been a great addition to the community. We have many nurse practitioners who are working out of there to help deal with the doctor shortage that we have in the community, to help see patients on a daily basis. We now have the ability to have x-rays and blood work taken from there. We have ultrasound and all sorts of diagnostic things that can happen from the urgent care center, which allows people to, makes it possible for people to stay in the community, to receive that health care and not have to drive out of the community.
Very important, yeah.
Critically important. We have the ambulance services are stationed right there as well, and it's really been a great addition to the community, and it is definitely seeing far more patients than we expected.
No.
And part of that is our growing tourism industry in Parksville Qualicum. Certainly during the summer months, we are seeing an influx of tourists who come, and things happen, and they have the urgent care center to take care of them when they are find themselves in need.
That's pretty important. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more about tourism and whatnot. You're watching Constituency Report with Michelle Stilwell. We're going to take a little break, and please stay with us because we'll be back with lots more stuff. Welcome back to Constituency Report. I'm Doug Secord, your host, and today I have the MLA for Parksville Qualicum, Michelle Stilwell. Welcome back.
Great to be back.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of stuff to go through with, and we'll start, I think, with Vancouver Island University. And you recently had an announcement, I think, at VIU regarding trades. Is that right?
Well, I've certainly spent a fair bit of time at VIU over the last year and a half or so making announcements for the investments that we have been making in skills and trades training. They also just received additional funding, which is a partnership with the federal government as well for their health sciences building.
Oh.
And for me, that was something that was pretty significant because my first meeting with VIU after being elected 4 years ago, Ralph Nielsen, the president, sat me down in one of the rooms at VIU and told me about his plan for this health science building and expressed his the importance of what it would do for people in the community, the students who live there, to be able to come to VIU to receive that educational component, and how important it was for the university to grow and expand. And so it was something that I've worked on for the last few years, advocating for it and ensuring that it was on the plan, and that when the finances were there and available, that we would be able to assist in making it come to fruition. Mm-hmm. And I think it really will make that impact for our students who no longer necessarily have to go away for that portion of their education. They can stay right in Nanaimo when they're living in Qualicum or Parksville. They can live at home with their parents and still go to VIU without having to travel to UBC or UVic or farther away.
It makes a huge difference in terms of student debt as well. And I think just getting back to the budget, there was a little break for student loans, I think, as well, right?
Yeah, so we're going to see a decrease in the interest rate for student loans for those individuals who are taking out student loans, and I think that will be a significant benefit for them when considering their post-secondary education. I know, it's certainly something that children, youth dream of and know that the jobs that are there today require some kind of post-secondary education, but it's also why we stepped up and have the RESP and the grants that we provide for education and savings grants, $1,200 for children who are born after 2006.
I think from the last budget, yeah. I think
so.
It's a great program, and from what I understand, it was like there's only like a take up of about 2/3 of eligible children. So there's like a third of eligible families out there that
need to reach out and take advantage of that money that is available to them to long-term plan for their children's future, because we know that on a go-forward basis, education is critical, and it's why we continue, even in the K-12 areas, we have seen an increase of education funding all through the years, consistently increases in funding, even with declining enrollment. We have seen an increase to the budget this year yet again to help support K-12 education and even changing the curriculum that we have seen in the last couple of years to reconfigure to today's world. Children of today aren't experiencing the same world that we did at our young age when we were in high school and stuff, and really preparing them for the future and investing in their future.
Yeah, because I mean, if you actually open up an account, you don't have to necessarily contribute to it, but that money is there for you.
That's right. $1,200 to start it off and kickstart it, and it will just continue to grow over the years as your children age through public school or private school, independent school, whatever that choice is for families. And when it's time for post-secondary, there will be money there for them.
Yeah, that's a great start. Yeah. So just moving on to the community a little bit, British Columbia has something called the BC Medal of Good Citizenship, and this is a fairly new award, I think. It's not Canada, it's not the Order of Canada, it's just British Columbia, correct?
It is, and still significant, and truly that opportunity for us to acknowledge incredible people in our communities around British Columbia. And I had the great honor of giving out the second official medal ever in BC to a constituent of mine and a dear friend, really, Joan Lemoyne.
Joan Lemoyne.
Yes, and she was nominated by many people who are involved in Beach Fest. In Parksville, we have every year a huge festival called Beach Fest, and Joan and her husband actually were the founders of it and got it started many, many years ago, and now it has grown to be one of the major tourist attractions for Parksville. This year we saw over 100,000 people come for the sandcastle building competition. It is an international competition that allows the sand sculptors to come and compete and prepare themselves for the World Championships. It's a qualifying event, and it's incredible the dedication that Joan has for the community. If you ever see her out in the community, she's volunteering for something, whether it's at the Legion or Coffee with the Mayor or Beach Fest. She's just one of those token individuals that you always know is there for the community and in the best interest of the community. So very, very honored to have been able to present her with it. And she wears it with pride. Every time I see her now, she's got her pin on and she makes sure she's telling people about her award, and it's just fantastic to see.
Oh, wow. I read some of the background on her. She seems absolutely fantastic in everything she does, so it's very impressive. But you mentioned tourism as well, and tourism is a very important part of the economy of the North End, yeah?
Well, certainly in Parksville, Qualicum, it is sort of pretty much our driving force for what happens in our community. It's a resort town. Many people call Qualicum the retirement village, but really what we've seen is so many people coming to enjoy our beaches and our small businesses in town that are very quaint and great places to visit, and so many amazing restaurants to check out. And it's really been that gem of a location on the island for people to come and spend their summers, and even now in their winters. We have Tainamera with the Grotto Spa. It's #1 spa in Canada, so many people are drawn by that, and it's literally on the beaches of Rathtrevor Provincial Park.
Wow. We'll be talking about Rathtrevor in a sec, but before that we had a fairly exciting announcement regarding one of my favorite things, the SPCA, and animals, of course, right?
Who doesn't like a cute, fuzzy little puppy? When we had our announcement just the other day again, $5 million to help the SPCA, there were lots of little puppies, and I thought maybe I should adopt one, definitely. But $5 million was provided to the SPCA to help them with their facilities redevelopment around the province. Many of their facilities have aged and needed some extra love and care and redevelopment from scratch even. And so in Nanaimo, we actually have seen a beautiful new building come to fruition, and it's being utilized as a great asset in the region. And really, they've gone out of their way to think about all the details. They have a dog wash station in there. They've even created a little social innovation, social enterprise inside where they're selling coffee and treats and stuff to generate some revenue to help them run the facility.
Oh, wow. And the government also brought in some legislation to license breeders, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, so again, that's just the the protection of our dogs and our cats and our animals who can't speak for themselves, who need the protection. You know, we know certainly that oftentimes when abuse of animals is happening, it's obviously devastating, and it's also oftentimes the start of other abuses and other cycles of domestic abuse and other things. So, you know, we want to make sure we're putting stops where we can to prevent those things from happening.
Okay. Now, I know for a fact that you love to visit the classroom, and I think we have a picture of you visiting, is it Nanoose Elementary?
Yeah, Nanoose Bay Elementary.
Yeah.
Fantastic school. It's school my son started his education out in, kindergarten, grade 1 and grade 2, and really have kept in touch with many of the fantastic teachers that are there. So many incredible teachers that are with those students every day, but certainly I've been back to the leadership class several times. There's a group there that I go in and speak to the children about, you know, what it's like to be an MLA and what does it mean, and how do you help your community, and what does leadership mean, and how can they have that impact even at a young age and into their future to impact the people that surround them, the people in their community. And it doesn't necessarily mean you know, on the sports field. It could be volunteering at the local SPCA or, you know, however they get involved and what impact they can have.
Okay, great. You mentioned Rathtrevor, and I think there was a fairly big announcement for parks in the budget, and that's going to benefit Rathtrevor, I believe, yes?
Well, certainly we've seen some investments already in Rathtrevor and Englishman River Falls, and you know, I live in one of the most incredible areas of British Columbia. I think most of the MLAs would argue with me on who lives in the best area, but you know, on top of the amazing people that live in Parksville Qualicum, we live in immense beauty. You know, when I first moved to the island, it was the fact that I knew we had rivers and lakes and oceans and trees and trails, and you know, I could go kayaking and swimming and climb the mountain and go skiing on Mount Washington, and that we have just so much to provide and give on the island, and really enjoy the outdoors and our outdoor surroundings. So the investments that are being made will be of critical importance for the future to protect our forests, to ensure that we're enabling people to have the camping experiences that they want and enjoy.
Yeah, especially for families too. Next photo we have is really interesting. It's I don't know a lot about Dick Whittington, but you played the central character, didn't you?
What a fantastic opportunity this was. That, you know, one day I got a phone call from the local theater asking if I would be interested in performing in their Christmas play, a pantomime, which I knew nothing about, and I'd never read the script, or I thought, hey, that sounds like fun. I'm always up for a challenge. And so the script was dropped off to me several months in advance. I didn't really get a chance to practice with the rest of the crew. No, but you know, I performed on opening night and again on the second or third last night before closing, and it was so much fun to just really see how much the community embraces the local theater productions. And you know, everybody was there. It was a sold out show both nights that I was there, and you know, just to really appreciate that part of you know, the arts culture in our community.
Oh, for sure. We just have a very short time left, so I just wanted to mention you have International Women's Day is in March, and you're a part of a group fundraiser for a local society.
Yeah, Haven Society. I've really built a strong connection with Haven Society over the years, and this is the 4th year that I'll have my International Women's Day, where I bring in some guest speakers and we talk about their challenges, their triumphs, their struggles, their chances for bold change in their own lives, and I interview them like Ellen style. There's some dance music, there's some fun games, and really it's just about sharing those very personal stories and inspiring the women and men. Men are welcome to come too and enjoy the afternoon. It's an afternoon tea, 1:30 on Sunday afternoon, and I hope it will be a great success to raise some more money for Haven Society.
Wonderful. Well, I wanted to ask you more about your retirement, but we're going to have to leave that for another show because we're at the end of Constituency Report. We've had Michelle Stilwell, who is the MLA for Parksville Qualicum. Thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to interviewing you again soon. Michelle, thank you for being on the show.
As long as we're clear, it's retirement from sport, not from politics.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Okay.